How do you protect something traditional without freezing it in time? The other day, I was talking to this beautiful young woman that was 22, 23 years old, and we were talking about situationships. And I was sharing with her that back in my day, we didn't have situationships. You were either in a relationship or you weren't. And if you did something as tawdry as just sleeping around, you were called something else, which is very traditional. Times change and things become modern. What I found really interesting during our conversation was the situationship, with this idea that somehow you get into it, that eventually it turns into a relationship. And that's never the case. Because when she was sharing the story of how she got into the situationship, from the very beginning, the man said, "I don't want anything serious. I just want to see how it goes." For me, in my age of 56, it's a clear indicator that someone is not interested in you. Someone is not interested in having a relationship with you. They want to have SEX with you. They might want the companionship, but they don't want to be in a relationship with you. Hi, my name is Vanessa. I am the founder of Feminine Spaces, and we talk all things about relationship wisdom, self-mastery, and conscious living through a feminine lens. So this topic got me so curious because I know that 20, 30, 40 years ago and beyond that, it was very traditional that you saved yourself for marriage. You didn't have sex until you got married, but then women got married a lot sooner. And then the next 2 or 3 decades after that, we got into the Vietnam War. There was a kickback. There was a lot more freedoms. And then women and men were much more freer about their sexuality and enjoying each other's bodies. And then from there, it has come to a place where there is a line that is being crossed that not everybody respects. And the boundaries of relationships are very, very much skewed. So when I was having this conversation, it got me very interested in the aspects of traditional relationships versus situationships versus one night stands versus something incredibly casual. And what I'm hearing from the beautiful young women out there is that they want to go with the flow. They don't want to put so much pressure on. They want a relationship, but somehow they think that being kind of flexible allows you to get into a relationship. And perhaps the difference between the traditional version of the maybe 10, 20, 30 years ago versus now is that sense of accountability. If you want to have a relationship, you want to have a monogamous relationship, it's something you state from the very beginning, within the first, second, or third dates. Having sex with someone that you just met minimizes the value of you as a woman. Whether you want to agree with me or not is completely irrelevant. If a man can get what he wants from the get-go, he's not really going to respect it, because at the end of the day, men are hunters. And the longer you can hold off on the sex and get to know the person, you get to know them on a different level. Because when you study men for the masculine and women for the feminine, women get connected to men on the oxycodone. Sorry, not the oxycodone, but the oxytocin. So the moment that you have sex with them, you connect with them on a spiritual, physical, and mental level. Men are not the same. Men can have sex with 5, 10, 17 women in a weekend and not even blink an eye, because men do not get attached to women through sex. Men get attached to women through respect, admiration, support. That's what men want. They want to see a woman that they want to understand that they are respected, that they are being supported by their partner, and that they are looked upon with great admiration. That's the way a man connects to a woman. So when I was having this great conversation with this cute 22, 23-year-old, it was something she had never heard of before. And I'm curious out here with all my women and men, as I'm starting to understand, in feminine spaces land, are these the kind of topics that you want to know more about? Do you want to understand the psychology between men and women in relationships? Because in feminine spaces, part of the ethos of us is, of course, relationship wisdom. And it's also self mastery and conscious living. Part of self mastery is being able to state your wants, your needs, your desires, and your boundaries. And if from the get go, from the jump of you dating somebody, you don't recognize or you don't understand the power of being able to state exactly what you want, or you don't feel comfortable, or you don't feel it's a place, it's very difficult to be in a relationship. Because if you can't start from the beginning by being completely honest and thoughtful and completely in an authentic place with yourself of what you want, what you need, and how you're going to show up in relationships, how are you going to be able to have a mutually beneficial, honest, trustworthy, and respectful relationship? It's so important to understand you and what do you want and how do you want your relationships to go. The other thing that I found very interesting about situationships, and maybe it's just me and my error, but for me, back in the day, if you're going to be dating someone, it's because you're going to be dating with the longevity of at some point in 6 months, a year and a half, you're going to be getting engaged to be married. I understand that that's not the case, but I do hear from you guys when you DM me and send me messages that you want that more than not. So stating that from the very beginning, when you start dating someone and being completely authentic and saying, hey, listen, what I'm looking for is to be in a monogamous relationship. That's it. And if the person that's with you doesn't want that where they are, then there's no reason to be there. If your intention is to be married within 2 years or 3 years, it's important to state that, not to nag and not to be on it, but it's your timeline. And if the person that you're with is not fulfilling what you want, then it's important for you to kind of negotiate with yourself and say, hey, listen, I told myself that I want to be in a monogamous relationship with the intention of being engaged and getting married within the next 2 to 3 years. If that's your goal and your person's not with you, have that honest conversation and ask why. What is it? Sometimes men want to make sure that they have their finances in order. If that's something that you want to build together with your partner, that's also a great conversation to have, because being on the same page, recognizing what both of you want in a relationship, what both of you are growing for and going to is so important. And that is part of self-mastery, is being able to have those difficult, hard conversations. Because girl, if you can't have that with the person that you profess to love more than anything, if you can't have those kind of honest, authentic, respectful conversations, then why are you in a relationship? I know it's hard coming, but I'm a woman and I love you and I want you to be your best. And these are the kind of conversations that I wish I knew about when I was younger, because it would have prevented me from making so many mistakes that were not in my best interest. And this is why I'm sharing it with you. So when I had the conversation the other night at dinner with just the cutest young woman, she said, Vanessa, I don't know a lot of women that are your age that talk to us with such honesty. And it kind of took me back. And then I thought to myself, man, when I was your age, nobody talked to me like this either. And my girlfriends that were the same age, they didn't have the same kind of wisdom in the 20s that we have now in our 50s. So that is the point of feminine spaces. Let me know in the comments below, or you can DM me and let me know if you want to know more about this aspect of the feminine lens of feminine spaces, really understanding the importance of relationship wisdom, self-mastery, and conscious living. Pussily Puss.